Captain's Log, episode 35. This week's episode of the Beer Avengers podcast is sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Now open 7 days a week with outdoor and indoor dining. Enjoy their eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. This week, Captain Huck and Beer Wonder welcome back guest Beer Avenger, Incredulous Bulk / Dr. Bruce Beer Nerd for our first ever sequel as we return to Dayton for more beers, breweries, and even a modest crawl. Like all the best sequels, we cover just enough of the same ground to feed your nostalgia while exploring enough new territory to make you glad you showed up for more. Remember to like, star, and subscribe us whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. If you missed last week's show, it's always available along with our complete archive at thebeervengers.com. But in case you want to dive right in, here's a quick recap of last week's show.
Previously on the Beer Ventures, Captain, we're both fully vaccinated. We're invulnerable. We're both fully vaccinated, right? We could go on a crawl.
I don't know if the captain's told you, but you're going on a crawl.
I guess we're going on a crawl.
I think that could be very important to our beer venging duties.
You know what? We've never done this before, but I mean, you should come back next week so we can talk about it, right?
Well, I at this point, if this is what's happening, we may need the full report because, you do have to let your fellow beer vengers know on what kind of life-saving, world-changing action.
I would be listening to the music. My dad would come in and say, "Turn that down," and I would say, "But Dad, it's smoky."
Wolf-hearted. Wolf-hearted.
Hashtag blessed.
The logic is simply this is what we did.
And now, please enjoy episode 35. A doctor, a priest, and a captain walk into a bar, or bars, and or brewery, and or breweries.
Oh, with a beer Avengers, beer Avengers, beer Avengers, with a beer Avengers.
Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Montgomery County, somewhere in the 45419, I'm Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you from the west side of the county of New York, this is the Pale Male Hophead Huck.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the county of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder!
And from the secret basement lab in Area 937, I am Dr. Bruce Beer Nerd, the Incredulous Bulk.
And we are
The Beer Avengers.
Yeah, perfectly synchronized.
It gets
we are the
better
Beer
every time.
Avengers. Yeah, these synchronengers. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yes. Welcome to the show, everyone. As you have heard, I am still in Dayton, Ohio. Sort of a continuation of last week's. We're probably going to have a different name, but we're going to call it part 2 because we really want to confuse all of you. We've got a great show. The doctor and I are our first ever second 2 shows in a row guests. So you're blazing all kinds of trails, Dr. Beer Nerd. Welcome back.
I am so honored to be back so soon. Wonderful.
So, we went on a great crawl last weekend that we're going to talk about, and we've got lots of other fun things and some maybe less fun, but hopefully still compelling. But before we do any of that, let's get to the pours, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah.
Heck
ready.
yes.
We're ready. For sure.
What?
So,
Excuse me, Dr. Beer Nerd. What are you doing?
I know the rules, right? It's only polite the guest goes first. I figured I'd.
Yes.
I mean,
Now
Okay,
wait,
I got
and
it
most of
wrong.
them wait to have it offered to them too. So it's a little presumptuous
this
of you, I
is.
think.
I mean, now
Yeah,
here's the situation. When you're doing 2 weeks in a row, I feel like you kind of you stepped over the guest threshold.
Mm-hmm.
So now
Yeah.
we have
yeah, yeah,
now you're just kind of
yeah.
here, like you're doing, you know, you
It's
know,
it's fair.
guys,
It's I see it.
And
I don't,
he
I
sees it.
honestly do not know what to do now.
Wow.
Yeah, we're in a
Well, I
conundrum.
want
We
to
should.
drink, so
I do
I
too.
know, yeah, I know. I just
You know what?
I don't know how we solve this.
Well, here's just I'm spitballing here.
Okay.
okay.
Since the beer wonder has been the gracious, harried arbiter of this etiquette this whole time, I think it's only fair that he go first this time.
Wow. I'm down with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
All
Oh,
right.
oh my. Well, I mean, I'll
Would
be
you
honest.
honor us with going first, beer wonder?
It would only be polite.
Yes.
So, all right. Well,
Not to argue with us. Yes.
exactly. Have to keep the peace around here. Well, given that you will be listening to this on Memorial Day, I decided that it was time to welcome us into some delightful summer beers. So I have brought a Goza from our friends at Talea. It is their Blackberry Crush.
Aha.
Yes, felt like a good way to welcome in a nice summery beer. They call this one tart, refreshing with a hint of salt, and it's a nice gentle 5.2%. So let's see how this goes.
Beautiful fresh.
And they have a
crack
newly
there.
opened tap room
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Brooklyn, so we'll have to visit
Exactly. All right. Oh,
Oh.
real freshy.
that. Real juicy, dark colors coming right out of
yeah.
the glass.
Very,
God.
very purple. Aggressive head, so high carbonation.
Yeah, colors are even the head is pink and
Mhm.
oh
Yeah.
man, it's
But
like
not
a
too
fruit
out of
smoothie.
control.
No,
It's not
nothing
taking
too
over.
terribly crazy. And I did a nice slow pour for y'all. Oh dear, and there's
Yeah.
chunky bits at the bottom coming out.
I hope
Get
you
the
rolled
chunks.
it first.
So
I
much fruit.
gave it a little once around, but yes.
Wow, that
Oh,
looks
and
great.
it is blueberry right up there. Oh, it's very good.
Oh, can I see
Cannot
that
wait.
can again?
Oh yeah, let's take a look.
Yeah,
at
I
it.
think it's
Oh.
lovely can art, really.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah, they do good can art.
very nice.
Yeah.
I've met the owners, so yeah, they're nice.
All right. Oh well, that was guys. I
Okay,
gotta
so
say,
now-
it was very exciting. But I really don't know what we do next.
Well,
Well,
we
you
go
know, I think
youngest
he's
to
done his
oldest.
Huh?
We can go youngest to oldest.
Okay. I don't know if that may be too much to disclose. I was thinking since Dr. Beer Nerd has done his penance, we should go ahead and let him have his beer.
Oh,
now.
let's go
That,
ahead and
I
let
think
him
would
go.
be fair. I mean, I guess he is now the guest at
Yes,
that point
yes.
because he's been here the
So-
least frequently.
I just have to wash dishes. You'll still give me dinner. So
I don't know
Yeah,
how
right.
old the doctor is. With all those
older than the
beer
captain. A little bit.
strata rays that have been hitting him, so his age is he's
Yes.
ageless.
There's biological
Strata
and
race, I
there's
just came up with that.
physical.
Good point. That yeah, it's
Mhm.
not. So I have my first Fifth Hammer beer,
Hello.
Ooh.
thanks to the good offices of the captain, a home slice, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
I've deliberately avoided widespread tasting nerds. Nerds. No, I haven't avoided tasting nerds.
No.
Tasting notes. It is an imperial stout with lactose, vanilla, chocolate, and ancho chilies. So let's see what we can
Ooh.
get for a sound here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I liked that. Sounds very thick and rich.
Yes.
So
Spoiler, it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's a good slow pour there. I'm liking that.
Now, this is from the
Very
same
dark.
series I had a few weeks ago. The marble slice was the one I had from them. They've had several of them with this. This is I like this one even better.
say
Yeah.
it came from the captain. I don't know of any particular rooms where the captain lives, but
But yeah, I did get this straight from the brewery a couple of weeks ago.
there we go.
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh wow, and it is just the tiniest of tiny head on that beer.
Yeah.
And it's that good like brown
It's like
color.
a-
Oh,
Now,
It's like a 10.
part of that is me doing a very, very
Yeah.
gentle pour, right?
Yeah.
So
yes, yes.
Very good.
But also, what is the percentage on this bad boy?
it is a see if I can read this properly. A 13.0 or
Wow.
15.
15.0.
Okay,
Wow.
Yeah.
all right.
So
That'll give you
it's
a small
substantial.
head.
It's,
Very good. All right.
Love
Since
it.
we're doing
Now
this,
what do we do?
I was just thinking,
Oh,
since he's having a beer that I gave him, maybe I should have a beer that he gave me.
Good.
Oh, that seems
Sort
logical.
of to keep things symmetrical that way.
Yes,
So
I like
last
that.
weekend we went to a number of different breweries and brew pubs, but we did not go to Lock 27. So I figured I'd do
Oh,
that to include them. And this is
okay.
called the Charlasta Brown Ale
Mm.
from Lock
Ooh.
27. It's a 6.5. So typical, I think, for a brown. There we go. There we go.
Oh, good crack.
And once again, I have my Dublin Crystal mug here.
Oh, it's the classiest thing I've ever
Oh,
seen.
yeah.
And oh my. Oh gosh, that's like a toasted brown color
That's
to it. And
frosted too, huh?
There we go. Yes, it is.
and that white head is just very clean. It looks
Nice.
like. Yeah.
It's a good looking brown.
There we are. Oop, yeah, there we are.
All right,
All right,
fantastic.
Huck, what do you got?
Well, I'm influenced by myself from last week from going across the pond to get a beer. I'm going across again, but we're going to merry old England this time
Ooh,
to
jolly old.
a brewery called Samuel Smith's
Oh, yeah.
Old
Good old
Brewery
Sammy.
Tadcaster. This is the pure brewed organic lager beer. And I have not had this. I've had their brown. They're known for their nut brown ale. And they're really known for their ales. This is kind of the only lager they make. So the oldest brewery in Yorkshire. And handy for left-handed pouring. I like this.
Perfect.
Okay, so wait, let's get these glasses off here.
That's a nice, substantial bottle.
See the picture? Oh, I'll just try not to worry about it. Here we go. All right.
Now, tell me, Doctor, wasn't Samuel Smith? Didn't they factor strongly into your origin story? I know. Going way
Yes.
back to
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
Now,
Yes.
here's the thing that is just miraculous to me. This is a crystal clear beer,
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
a classic
organic.
lager.
which is just not what generally when I think of a British style beer, I do not think of clarity. It just
Right.
never is something that I really
Yeah.
think about. So it's
Yeah,
just so
I'm with you
beautiful
on
to
that,
see
yeah.
it like that.
Well, cheers, gentlemen.
All right, yes, gentlemen, raise a
Cheers.
glass.
As they say in England.
Cheers.
Sláinte, Kampai, etc. Mm. Oh, that's good.
Oh wow.
I'm
Oh,
pleased
wow.
with that.
Ooh.
I'm pleased.
Yeah.
I'm a
We're
little
all
sad.
we're
because
all
it's
feeling
hard to
good
get
on
more
this.
of.
I love that moment.
It's that
You were going to say it. Go ahead, Beer Wonder.
well, no, I was just going to say this is one of those ones where I think we've all wound up picking such interesting beers that we kind of all hit that speechless point in
Yeah.
a deep and profound way, which is always exciting.
Really nice finish too. Like good, really nice aftertaste in the mouth. I'm gonna need some more time with this.
I know we talk a lot about the sort of weird, non-descriptive, often way beers are described as drinkable, or the lawnmower beers you like to call them, Huck.
Yeah.
But this one, of course, sessionable. But this one has an even a better word for it, I think, approachable.
No,
Oh,
pretty
This
approachable.
beer is a generous
Welcome.
portion of honey malt, making it extremely approachable and sessionable.
Hmm.
And it's named after a canal boat that used to cruise the Miami Erie Canal.
Oh, how cool.
So yeah, nice honey brown ale.
I love
I mean,
it.
yeah, it is. It's very. Yeah, this will not last long.
Now you did the frosted glass, but look at the haze on my glass there.
Yeah.
That's not lacing. What's that called? Beer Wonder.
I've always referred to it as lacing, where you're thinking
No,
like
when you get
where
like
you're seeing
cold haze. I just learned it in our.
cold haze. Oh, I don't. That's
Is
not
it
a one
cold?
that we'll
Is it
have
called
to.
cold haze? Because it's condensation.
Oh, you're talking about the actual condensation that's happening on the glass.
Yeah.
Is that what
Is
you're
it
talking about?
rime?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
RIME?
that is on the outside. Yeah.
I think that might be it. Yeah.
Condensation. Well, we just turned up the refrigerator this week,
Mm.
and I mean, it's like we had so much stuff in there that it started to get warmer. So we turned it up, and now we're getting like I had some iced tea at lunch. I was like, "Oh, that's how cold it's supposed to be." I love it. We don't need ice cubes anymore.
The rhyme of the
Yeah.
ancient brewery.
Yeah, and this is nice and cool. Very nice beer. Pure, like this is just that pure flavor of a lager you expect, even like a German lager, but doesn't have that what's the word? Like I don't want to say skunkiness, but that sort of funkiness, I suppose, you get with a German lager sometimes. And this has a very clean taste, and I'm very pleased with this.
Hey, look at
I'm
that.
often disappointed by my European beers, but this is Wow.
Hey, drink it down. Drink it down.
So I'm
Well,
curious. Oh yeah, ooh. Doctor, what flavors are you getting in that home slice initially?
I mean, the most immediate presence for me was vanilla and the mouthfeel from that lactose. It's more than thick and rich enough, as they say, but plenty of roast flavor. The finish goes on for a good long time. There's a nice boozy note,
ooh.
like a cream liqueur almost in the finish.
That's a good
Oh.
description. Yeah.
So yeah, not a like an overbearing slapper. That kind of sometimes you get some sourness like a bourbon barrel aged, and that's not that at all. It's
No,
just it
I agree.
rich is the just overwhelming sensation. And yeah, I can see that that slice, the cakey reference, even though last week I'm fumbling for what does cake taste like as a liquid.
Right.
This actually
Yeah,
so yeah
Huh.
it does not taste like the cake you had last week. That's for sure. Um,
Hopefully, it was not left out in the rain. Also, very important.
no, because it took so long to bake it.
I know.
I don't think I
never
could
have the
take
This
it.
is
recipe again. Yeah.
Oh
No.
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 this is the home
Um,
slice, you said.
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just curious. Are you tasting any of the chilies in that?
Right
Mm.
before the lingering finish, right? So
Okay.
it's for me, it's a grace note. Like, so we go immediate vanilla and rich mouthfeel the whole way through. I go roast and oh, hey, chili. But it could easily,
Oh.
if you didn't say it was chili, I might say, I don't know, cinnamon or some other fiery spice. And then that just mellows and fades out. So,
There
yeah,
is cinnamon in it. I have the ingredients here:
That would be
lactose,
that.
vanilla, chocolate, cinnamon, and ancho chilies,
Ooh.
which you may have already said.
I may have. I
You
put the
may have.
can down, so I'm not reading it anymore. We could say that this is either me being open to the experience and trying to evaluate from my own palate, or being lazy and unprepared. Either of these things might apply.
One of these
Uh,
times, I'm going to do like
could be both.
the talk about the tasting notes and just go like, I'm inspired by Mexican chocolate cake. This bold beer is creamy and smooth.
Yeah, just
Big
read
chocolate
this.
notes up
Turn it
front
straight
and
from the
backed
copy.
by
Yeah.
cinnamon, vanilla, and a touch of heat from the chilies in the finish.
Mhm.
Flavor elements dance on the tongue while staying balanced. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do that. Trying to
Yeah,
do that
and
next time.
mine is extremely approachable and sessionable. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Charlotte, it's the name of a boat that used to be on the Miami Canal,
I
the
did not. The
Erie
Miami
Canal, the
Canal.
Miami Erie Canal. It is both. The Miami. Okay, now see, I had to go to the copy. I couldn't wing it.
I know.
So tell us about this
See,
goza that you got there, beer one.
well,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
unfortunately have no copy because the entire copy on my can says tart, refreshing hint of salt, and I could say, it is tart and it is refreshing and there is a definite hint of salt. But I gotta say, it's a very light goza. I feel like this is a very approachable beer for people who may not be really ready to like who just don't have who don't really have an enjoyment of beer yet. This would be a great introduction. And Talea's whole kind of thing has been that their initial run was that they were trying to make beers that kind of would like replace potentially a rosé, or for people who weren't beer lovers, getting them into it. And I can absolutely see where this fits, but the problem is like my mind goes to, oh, it's like an introductory beer, it's like training wheels beer, so it's probably not going to be good. No, it's really good.
Oh,
Like it's
great.
a really 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 good goza. And the blackberry is really present. You can see there are chunks of it on my glass.
Wow.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's the fruit is there. It's super refreshing, and I feel like they hit me with more salt than I'm used to from a goza, because I'm getting a really salty finish, and my mouth
Mm.
does have that like salty, dried out element to it. It's really good.
Yeah, sounds like they
It's
nailed
like,
it.
yeah, they really aced this. I mean, I we shouldn't be surprised because they are known for doing really excellent, really approachable sours. But like this one is
But they're a
just
really new brewery,
truly,
aren't they?
yeah. Well, they just opened, I think, their tap room in March of 2021, or at least that's when they were
Yeah,
planning
that
to.
The
sounds
tap
right.
It
room
is
just
open,
opened, but
yeah.
they've been around about, I would say, at least 2 years.
Okay.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Yep.
a nice sort of follow up to our one of our topics last week. It's a female run
Hmm.
brewery, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
I
right.
believe it's our first fully woman owned and woman run brewery in New York City, if I'm not mistaken. That'll be for the Hookups next week, but I'm pretty sure
Fully,
that
yeah,
they're,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, good for them, and sad
Female
that it hasn't happened
founded.
sooner.
Yeah, but they're great. I've seen pictures of their tap room. I know a number of people who will use that as like a, because they have a beautiful outdoor space where people will go and, do their computer work there so that they can continue to be safe and but also not be in their homes.
Right.
Sounds like a great thing to do. And heck, if you get a beer immediately when you're done with work, right out of the taps, that sounds fantastic. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so, but yes, it is an interesting segue into some of our conversation from last week.
It's Leanne and Tara,
Hmm.
and they left their corporate jobs in tech and media to join the beer industry. And together, their passions quickly aligned, and they realized they had a shared vision to create a totally different beer company that would expand the craft beer market.
Yeah, I've
Bah,
had
bah,
one of their
bah.
IPAs found to be very good too.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's mainly what they've done. Is hazies and sours.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping. Well, you know me. I want to see if they're going to brew any lagers. And a lot of the time, lagers you need space and you need
Yeah.
time. So that's why we see most of these places are doing more ales, because you got to have place to put these cooling tanks and the
Yeah. You
time
could
to
turn
wait for them to be ready.
you could turn those bad boys over pretty quick. Where a lager is gonna need to think about its
It's just so
life.
refreshing. It's just there's nothing I don't like about it. I mean, I'm gonna get another one of these sometime. Samuel Smith coming through. Sometimes these older breweries, you think they're set in their ways and they're not innovative or interesting, but this is just right on the money.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that.
Anybody else know the Melbourne Brothers fruited beers?
Oh, where are they out
They
of?
were acquired by Samuel Smith. I can't even say recently anymore, but
Right.
I believe this century at least.
This
And
century.
those are recipes that existed before hopping was the most common way of preserving beer. So they're very nice, tart, very acidic fruit beers. Look for them if you find them. They're worth a shot. Apricot is, I think, the standout.
Ooh, that actually sounds interesting, and I can't think of too many apricot beers I've had in my
That's the
life.
only one I know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, Samuel Smith dates back to 1758,
Ooh.
and they still brew their beers with these stone Yorkshire squares, and that's what they brew them in these granite tubs, and they have all copper kettles, and it's just they call it the old brewery. That's the part of the name, and so they what is it? Old Brewery at Tadcaster. So yeah, it's they do things in the old way, and they're not falling back on their laurels. They're making quality beer for the 21st century. Yeah,
Hey, praise it.
You know,
Hashtag bless
I
it.
think bless it indeed.
bless it. Um,
Praise it and bless. Are you trying to say praise it now because bless it is getting too much hype?
Well, we got the branding on the beer already, so now I'm
Maybe we
worried
could
about
just say
trademark
press it.
infringement.
Just press it.
Press it, which honestly would work when we're dealing with beer.
Yeah.
So
Press it.
press it.
Brew
Hashtag
it.
press it.
You know, it's
Malt it.
interesting talking about the salty gozes. A
Hmm.
couple days ago, Father B and I went to a place near here called Eudora, and I
Hmm.
had when getting a flight, and they had some wonderful various things that are more in my wheelhouse. But they had a margarita goza that was
Mm.
Oh,
so good that I had to get a full pour of it. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
obviously
well
it had some of
done.
that salty thing. I mean, obviously
Yep.
margarita is such a fruity thing, but definitely there was
Hmm.
some of that saltiness you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Apparently that's well, now doctor, how long have they been at that new bigger space?
I'm going to go between 2 and 3 years, so I don't
Okay,
know
yes, it's
exactly. Not very long.
big, expansive place. And this kind of brings us around to where our crawl started on Saturday afternoon because we started it where Eudora used to be.
Hmm.
Is that right, Doctor?
Yes, yeah, that was their
It's
old.
I mean it's amazing if you look at these two spaces that the one that someone that the place that Eudora used to occupy was so relatively modest looking.
Sure.
Yeah, and they were brew on premise at both locations. You probably saw
Wow.
the brew your own section when you were there, although it's off to the side now. So they took that equipment with them, but their production system stayed in the old place and was purchased by um, I think we're calling mostly contract brewer these days.
Yes,
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so
or
somebody doesn't
Exactly.
have
itinerant.
his
I've
own
heard
brewery, but
itinerant as well.
yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Much
and
classier.
it had a name as from nowhere in particular. Opened a brewery in Columbus called Somewhere in Particular, and we kind of missed him in Dayton. So the Nowhere in Particular Cabinet of Curiosities for the experimental beers was open
Hmm.
in the old Udor space.
Now, I'm got to be fair that since this wasn't an official crawl, officially sanctioned crawl, this wasn't the actual Golden Mile, we were able to play a little fast and loose with the rules. So the first place we went to, we actually had to drive to, and then we had to drive to the second location. But
Okay.
but it was absolutely worth it. This place, well, first of all, we get there and we want to take a picture that I sent to you guys, and as soon as you do, there's this
Yes.
sort of like a guy, very friendly, but seems like he might be a little inebriated, hanging out. He just all of a sudden he just starts chatting us up, and we just think he's some local patron who's very enthusiastic, who's maybe already had a few, and make some joke. In fact, but he was so friendly. He looked at my shirt and he said, "Oh, are you from the Beer Avengers podcast?" And I knew my shirt had the Beer Avenger, but I forgot that it also said podcast. I forgot the podcast was on there, so I just said, "Oh, have you heard of us?" Like, it's on your shirt. Oh, okay. And then so we were about to head inside, and he said, "Wait a minute, give me like about 15-second lead time." So it turns out this is the guy who's running the place.
Oh, all right.
Runs
Yep.
in there. We wait 15 seconds. We walk in, and there's maybe at that point, maybe what, 5 people there? Would you say?
Yeah, that's
I
about
know
right.
there were
Yeah.
more by the time we got, but I think when we first got
Yeah.
there, it was 5 or 6 people, and they gave us a round of applause for entry. At
Hey,
that point,
look
I
at
say
that.
this was me. Well, the doctor as well as Father B, all of us, and Father B was the semi-designated driver. But yeah,
That's
so we all went in
great.
there. They gave us a warm welcome. Had some fantastic beers there.
Nice.
And we passed that on to the patrons entering after us.
That's true.
Lovely.
Oh, is
That
that
became
right?
a tradition. And I think we
Yep.
talked to someone there, and he said this wasn't necessarily how it was every day, but that's how it was that day. Everyone who comes in gets a
Yes.
round of applause.
I
So
love it.
Austin, our beer tender, he does what Austin will do, and it's always welcoming, and he's that sort of guy.
That's
So,
lovely.
although I will notice that I will mention that George Shaw, who joined us and will figure a bit later on in the show, he got a even more welcome, I think, because everybody knows George. So,
Right, because he is also the proprietor of the place you mentioned last week. What's the name of it again?
the Wandering Griffin, yeah, he's
Right.
one of the partners in that up and coming local brewery, and was a major investor in Fifth Street Brew Pub, and in his professional life is a safety expert. He does a lot of work for the Ohio Craft Brew Association. So uh, yeah, just all around good guy to pay attention to.
Now, at nowhere in particular, Cabinet of Curiosities or Nipcock. Uh, that's what the initials are.
You make a call. Is that deliberate? I don't know. Everybody think about it
It's
for
on
yourself.
the sign. I mean, they have the
It
full
is.
title in front of the building, but on like little, it's like a little like strip mall. So the strip mall where they have all the places that are there. It says Nipcock, so I think we can say it on the show, even if we didn't have an explicit content warning. But yeah, I didn't. I was very happy to have your guidance and the guidance of the bartender because uh, I got there and I said, what I liked Imperial Stouts. He said, "This is the one you want to have." And I didn't have
Mm.
that first because there were some others that you had recommended to me that I had small pours of.
Yep. Yep.
Or I might have had small pours of all 3 of them.
You
I don't.
did.
Yeah,
You were smarter than me at that point in the
I
day
did.
for sure.
I had small pours of all 3 of them, and that one was so good. I think
I
I
love that
wanted to get a
option.
full pour of it, but I wound up getting something with a slightly lower ABV because
Yeah.
after having those 3, but what was the one that was so great that he recommended right off that you said you also? I think you wound up getting a pour of.
Yeah. The dirty ass bitch, usually called DAB or DAB.
Yes.
That's what's on the menu. So
What was it?
really, just a remarkable stout. I mean, hits all
Yeah.
the notes, ticks all the boxes. Exemplar of style. Just you show it off. I see why.
Yes. And then we got in the car and we headed out to Fifth Street. What are you laughing about? Just the name of the beer?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the dirty ass
Yeah.
bitch.
It's a
Yeah,
solid, it's a good name for a beer.
yeah. Well, he didn't know we were explicit, so he made it a point to like you can call it dab on the podcast, but it's dirty ass bitch. I said no, I think we can
Well,
call
and
it dirty ass bitch. But yeah,
so
so we got
the other
I
two
think
high
we have.
gravity ones were both called Tuxedo, which was that
yes,
surprised me. It's like you get the classy names for ones that they're good, they're really good, they're enjoyable and tasty, but the dab is quality stuff. So
Right, and it was. Didn't you tell me they have several different tuxedos? Because the ones I had were
yes,
German and Mexican.
and I've had the Wisconsin, which is a lot of lactose. Very
Yeah,
very
I
creamy
enjoyed the
puff.
Mexican, but especially enjoyed the German because it was kind of based on a German chocolate cake.
Hmm.
Um,
A little cherry
and yeah,
flavor.
the one
That
you
sounds
had,
very nice.
it was sort of a twist on Pabst Blue Ribbon, or wasn't the name of it
Yep.
something like that?
Pat's Blue Ribbon.
Yeah,
Um, Pat is the name of the brewer, the former itinerant. So it is a double dry hopped American style lager.
Okay, nice.
So you kind of do that intersection of
Hmm.
well, pick your macro beer with very very interesting and pretty aggressive hop profile. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
like that. We sometimes call them IPLs, but yeah, the hoppy
Yeah.
lager is
yeah, that's in my untapped
cool
tasting
stuff.
notes actually. IPL with a question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There you go.
but yeah, then we headed out. We drove over to Fifth Street Brew Pub for lunch and another beer. Again, I was still trying to pace myself, so I had a red ale there. But yeah, tell us a little bit about that place because I know we meant I think we mentioned it on the last show or the one before that or that's on honestly we've been doing this 35 episodes now. They're all blended together. But you mentioned about
yeah,
how that it is a co-op brew pub that you are part owner in.
yes, and
Ah,
that's why I talk about it a lot.
Hmm.
So more than 3,000 members now. I was um,
Oh wow.
involved, not from the very beginning. There's sort of in kind of an initial public offering. Like the founders bought the property, didn't know what to do with it. Um, the brother of one of them said, there's this bar here in Austin. They're a brewery, but they're owned by the community, by the neighborhood. And you guys bought this place because it looked horrible on the way into your community just to fix it up. Maybe you should look in that direction. So they spent about a year exploring how would you do that, and then said, all right, we're going to try and we'll offer it to people around here. And if we get, I think their threshold was they wanted 100 memberships within a month
Oh
of
wow.
making that offer. And they had that in, I want to say 5 days. And my wife and I were two of that number. Like we went to the intro and said, hey, yeah, it might not go anywhere, but gotta try. So like it a lot. Do a lot of stuff with them, and we're transitioning to a new head brewer.
Hmm.
I look forward to seeing that. And sometimes I haven't had any of the audition pieces yet, but I'm really looking forward to uh, trying the samples.
But
So
yeah, then we went over to Branch and Bone, which I had a beer from last week. I had a great time there. Met up with George again there, and then we started what was sort of more the very much the small crawl area where there's so much exciting things to be had there. We headed over to Toxic Brewing. Had a great time
mm.
there. I think I had some kind of imperial stout that was aged in Heaven Hill barrels. Is that right?
was that the? Did you get the? Trying to remember, Hangar 18 or was Night Ender?
It might. Well,
Night
I
Ender's
think
their biggest stout.
Well, I think I
Coconut.
left with the Night Ender. There was one. They had like
Yeah,
two different aged ones. Like one was from 2018, one was 2019, or something like that. Like, but one was from a whiskey I'd never heard of, and you told me it was okay. But the other one was Heaven Hill, and
that's
that's
the
what.
the new Riff barrels. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, no, the Night Ender. That's a good segue to the segment you were talking about last week. With the whole Dora thing, where we actually got to go out and so we had a beer while we were sitting there at the brew pub or the brewery tasting room bar, and then we were able to get a beer to go and just walk the streets of the Oregon District.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
So I had a Belgian quad that was one of their launch beers and still a
Ooh.
favorite of mine. Relatively short pour, 12 ounce there at the bar, and then walked away with a red ale in a plastic cup just out on the street. And the Dora is in effect all the time in the Oregon District.
Now, did we say
But
again what those letters stand for?
At all, like pre-pandemic, this has been an ongoing thing.
the designated outdoor refreshment area.
I love
Yes.
it.
Uh,
Amazing.
Well, yeah, yeah.
so
Doctor, you said it started actually maybe a little mid-pandemic, right?
yeah,
But this is the first
the
time you'd been
Oregon
to it.
districts did. It became legal in Ohio before that, and I might actually have a note for later and exactly when. but there was a transition period where that became legal. And in the pandemic, I think, frankly, a little sooner than it was advisable, but it was great when we were there.
Yeah.
They also started closing the street that runs through that several block area to automotive traffic Friday through Sunday. So it's just a street party.
And of course, now that we're at this point, what, 1, 2, 3? This, I guess that was being our fourth location. It's a little fuzzy from here on out.
Yeah,
But
I have some notes, but yeah, it's definitely, and more than one beer at some locations.
yes, and sometimes even not beer, because again, these are we're not following any crawl rules, because
That's right.
our
Yeah.
next stop after we enjoyed our street beers, our street toxic beers, was Beer Wonder, for in honor of you. That's when we made it to Blind Bob's.
Aha! I was wondering when
So-
that was
and,
going to happen.
and how is Bob doing?
Um,
Not in on a Saturday afternoon, so we didn't get a
Oh,
chance to
okay.
inquire.
Well,
but the
I
fried
forgive
pickles
you
were
for
great.
that, but they are incredible. I'm glad to hear that they continue to hold up because they're pretty magical.
And
And
judging from your
what was that
photos, you
thing?
were not able to karaoke.
Not yet. It hasn't come back.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one local that's doing it outdoors, which is kind of
Okay.
Oh,
a neat idea.
nice. All right.
And
Without
what
a
was the
machine, they're just out there.
Yep, it's not really a event, just some guy.
some guy singing on the street? Yeah, there was. I mean, there was a guy on the street with a guitar, but
Yeah.
just him.
We-
We weren't. No one
We
was
really
taking
have
turns.
crossed the New Orleans threshold. Yeah, we're just yes,
Nice.
people walking down the street singing all the time.
And so I
With
know
beers.
I remember, since we were all communicating together during this epic crawl, or semi epic. I remember Huck was a little confused about what it was you were drinking at Blind Bob's.
Oh yes, I recall that.
Oh yes,
Oh
do
yes,
do
my
elaborate.
first at Blind Bob's. And I did have a beer in honor of the spirit of if we're being avenging,
Yeah.
I must be revenge. But on the sidewalk sign, they were advertising the Fruit Loops shot,
Mm.
and yeah, kind of a fool for novelty, so I had that.
I hear you.
You don't need to. It's okay.
Well,
You don't need to get it, but
thank
I'm
you for
still
doing
not
it,
sure
so we
what
don't
it
have to.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Bernard Black said, it is children's booze. So it was.
Children's
Did it actually
booze.
taste like Fruit Loops?
It tasted like milk and bad fruit flavor. So yeah, pretty close.
Yeah,
Like
it's about halfway there.
vaguely fruit. Like can't name the fruit.
So there was
So maybe-
Sweet
milk
with
in
two
it.
O's.
So maybe like the leftover milk from a bowl of Fruit Loops.
Yeah, pretty much. And also the alcohol flavor you get when you've sweetened it too much, and the fundamental vodka has got some edges on it. So
Yeah.
Everything we can possibly look
There's
forward
something
to,
that
right?
I thought it was because one of our coworkers had posted something about this, something called a Milko. Did you see this,
Oh,
Beer
yeah.
Wonder?
I
And
did see that. Yeah.
it's a special way. It's a Czech tradition. It's a foamy beer. It
Mhm.
says it's a sweet and creamy treat, but if you see it in the glass, I have a picture here.
Yeah, it just looks like
It's-
a bunch of foam. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, what you're seeing here is basically a giant head of beer with just the slightest, maybe a quarter inch of beer at the very, very bottom of it. It's just very confusing.
yes,
It does
very
not.
strange.
I would not be inclined to drink it.
Milko.
how does one produce it? Do you
it's
know?
not Milko. It's Milko.
Yeah, it's almost like
The
it's
L is before the I.
like they're trying to make it sound kind of Russian, like something out of the Clockwork Orange Korova milk bars.
It's
Yeah.
a distinct pouring style used for nightcaps and day drinking. I guess the idea is so you don't drink too much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a sidetrack. Let you
No,
guys
it's all part
complete
of it.
your mile, and then after Blind Bob's, that was
Well, then I think we got another to-go cup from Lucky's, right?
Yes, popped just down
No,
the
I
street.
have
to
no
Lucky's
idea what
and-
it was, but we got a to-go cup from Lucky's. And then I think it was on our way over to Warped Wing. Warped Wing. Was there anything between Lucky's and Warped Wing? I
goodness.
don't think there was.
No,
At some point there, I called my dad and
Just
said,
the walk.
"Hey, we're going to the last spot, so come meet us." And he
Come
did.
get me.
And yeah, and we there was
Dad, will you come pick us up?
And we might have
It
had
was a really
something.
good idea at that point.
It was.
I
It
think we
was.
had 2 more at Warped Wing, and
I
they were
think we did.
not lightweights.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, honestly, if it's the end of your evening and you know you've got to ride home,
yeah,
it's,
yeah. It's,
Might as well
that
go for it.
tracks.
Yeah.
That sounds like the captain's style to me, anyway.
But yeah, very grateful to Father B for joining us in part of it and helping us out on some of it. Um, yeah, it's been a great week. As I said, I also made it to Eudora, and aside from our planned crawls and such, I did go to the Yellow Springs Brewery. Had some really
Oh.
nice.
Oh,
They had a
nice.
black IPA named for the cicadas.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh.
oh,
called
neat.
Brewed X, and that was tasty. They also had a really nice uh, oatmeal stout called Prowler,
Okay.
and I wanted to take some home with me, so I actually was able to go up to the bar and said I would like a growler of the Prowler,
There
and
you
that was
go.
fun.
Very
Um,
good. Well, getting to, I don't want to, we're going to work our way towards huck ups and bulk ups today.
Ho
We're going
ho.
to have
sure.
some bulk ups as well. Just to give an update on what we talked about last week from
Oh yeah,
Brienne
Yeah.
Allen's posts about,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still check her out at Rat Magnet on Instagram.
Yeah.
But
Keeps
she's going to
happening.
get back to being a brewer again.
good
Okay.
for
And
her.
there's another site that has been organized by a couple of people, including her, that you can post stories at anonymously, and it's called Embolden Act Advance, which I guess they mean 3 verbs: embolden, act, advance. So you can go there and post more stories. Now the fallout from, I mean, it's mostly positive. Uh, at this point, obviously, sexism is not a positive thing,
Right.
that culture of beer, I'm not a fan of myself. As Beer Vengers, we spend a lot of time with our female Beer Venger cohorts, and so we don't really play that game. And but some of the so we talked last week about the Danish brewer. His name is Soren Parker Wagner, and he is the CEO of Dry and Bitter Brewing, which you may have heard of, Captain. Danish brewery, and he has stepped down as CEO.
Oh, it's called
And
Dry and
also
Bitter.
Dry and Bitter.
Okay, I think last week all you had was bitter, so it's Dry and
Yeah,
Bitter. Okay.
I blew. That's
No,
sort
it's
of
okay.
a huck up
I
for
was
me.
trying to figure out when I looked at my notes from last week when I was assembling stuff. I was like, "What's bitter?" Dry. So that's what I was making a reference to. Okay, Dry and Bitter.
And the CEO of Tired Hands has stepped away from day
Mm-hmm.
to day operations, and the staff at Tired Hands put out an Instagram post about they have 38 employees that they want to keep brewing beer and they want to make things right. You know, a lot of them are women, and so they're trying. But I think the if there is any moral dilemma for somebody who cares about these sort of things, is that the money still will go to this guy Jean, who has run a sexist, racist culture, and so that's the thing. We do want to support these workers, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it's like, well, all that money is going to go to the guy and his wife who have emboldened this culture. So that's kind of the moral quandary with Tired Hands and with a Dry and Bitter and with Modern Times. And also, there's Hill Farmstead put out another statement that
Mm-hmm.
they're not really, they're not really doing too much. But of course, he hasn't been accused of having a toxic culture in the brewery. He's just had been accused of being a personal kind of having a lot of questionable sexist behavior from Sean Hill personally.
Right.
So he put out like a very poetic statement. But what bothered me the most was in the comments, and this is very common in our culture. No matter what we're doing, is we have this. Obviously we have the divide politically, but even in the beer industry, we have people who are conscious, environmentally conscious, socially conscious, race conscious, and gender conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But there's such a bro culture in the beer industry too,
Right.
Right.
and it's almost a split. I would hope that it leans more towards the socially conscious part, but we always hope that for everything. So in a lot of the comments on Hill Farmstead, because people love Hill Farmstead, people also love Tired Hands,
Mhm.
But
and they're
trolls
like,
love the comment section.
and
Oh,
so
do
a
they?
lot of these comments are, there's no substantiated, none of this stuff is substantiated. And it's like, well, if it's not substantiated, then why are the CEOs stepping down?
Yeah.
If there's like, this is all lies, I mean, they're not doing that. So there's a lot of that, like, and there's a lot of shut up and brew beer kind of things.
Yeah.
And I
Because that
wonder
works
how
so
much
well
of
against
that,
the Dixie Chicks.
yeah,
Because that's what it reminds me of, the shut up and sing
shut
thing.
up and sing.
Doc,
Yeah.
did you have something you wanted to say?
Merely just nodding. Well, okay.
I thought he was going to
A,
bulk out.
No,
a
I just saw
confession.
that you behind the scenes. There's a thing where
Oh,
you can raise your hand.
yeah, that was actually me missing the mute button. But since
Okay,
you've asked, um,
never mind. I will edit this part out.
yeah, you won't, but
As we
it
all
would be
want,
kind.
as we all
I
want to do.
might. It depends.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
What I was saying is I have never had either Hill Farmstead or Tired Hands,
You're off the
Oh,
and
hook.
in fact, the names were unfamiliar to me until hearing them on the Beercast. I don't know, several episodes ago. I don't recall which ones, but they're not familiar to me at all. And I wonder if we don't get distribution or it just kind of slipped past me. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I
Yeah,
mean, we
you
barely
probably
get
don't
Hill
get
Farmstead in New York, and they're in Vermont. They're just a
yeah,
yeah.
they're sort of credited with being one of those very early purveyors of the New England IPA. And
Yeah.
we've been talking about Hill Farmstead on the show because he had another interview before this came out where he was calling out
This has kind of
breweries
eclipsed
for
that, hasn't
making
it?
Oreo French fry beers, and he just wants people to brew beer that tastes like beer. So that ruffled a lot of feathers, in that regard too. So he was already making trouble. Uh, but he does. I mean, they do make some of the best beers. They make some of the best farmhouse beers in the country, the best IPAs. So and lagers too. And so there's no doubt that they are top notch in beer making, as well as Tired Hands. Tired Hands is one of the breweries that's one of the early purveyors of the milkshake IPA and one of the perfecters of it. And so they've been innovators. And Tired Hands is Pennsylvania, outside of Philly. They're in Ardmore, Pennsylvania, where Bryn Mawr is, if that's a
Yeah.
collegiate reference. Katharine Hepburn went there.
Yeah, these are just like
How
these are
much
like
I know about
small, but disproportionate to their size. They're influential brewers.
Right, exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
very true.
And East Coast, yeah.
I,
Like we
I
don't really
fe-
get much Tired Hands here in New York.
I know we all want to like have a big call to action. I think right now though there's going to be a lot of, for a little while anyway, there's going to be some wait and see because
Yep.
everyone's figuring out what to do. And I mean, there'll be people who will do something horribly wrong who can right away say "fuck you," but there will be
Right.
like how people, But I mean by wait and see, I mean pay attention.
Yeah, how
And
we do
see. We
moving
will
forward.
wait, pay attention, and things will be clearer. I think because this isn't. Yeah, it's not like, because what some of them are hoping for is we'll forget about it and let it, and
Forget
we
about it.
shouldn't do that.
Right.
Yeah,
Maybe
I don't
keep
think it's
alert
going to
for
affect Hill Farmstead too much
Yeah,
in sales because they're just so sought after.
yeah.
I don't know what you would compare it to in the Midwest as far as, but they are very, very sought after, and not just in New England, like all over.
Yeah.
And Tired Hands has 3 locations, one of them in Philadelphia now, and so these ever expanding breweries. But we shall see. We shall see, as our former president would say. Well, wait and see. We'll see.
Yeah,
We're gonna
that's
see.
not the kind of wait and see I meant at all.
Well,
Did he say wait
well,
and
let's
see?
see. Let's see. Let's wait.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see what happens. We'll see what
Let's
happens.
launch an actually, more like the Democrats are saying right now about January 6th. No, let's launch an investigation now,
Now.
Mhm.
and we will figure out what we want to do based on that.
All right, so we can get to regular hookups now.
Okay. Actually, before
couple
we dive into that, can I?
Oh, actually, yeah, good point.
My glass is empty, so
Oh,
mine
I
is
hate it when
too.
that happens.
Me
well,
too.
okay.
I mean, almost. Hang on.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
so-
then let me preface mine while we're all preparing for this.
You take the reins, Beer Wonder.
So this is a another trip to a cellar of sorts. You don't have to play the song, however we're going to do it, because my where I'm staying, there's an actual cellar, And when I
Oh,
first got here, I found some 4-year-old lagers down there. I'm not going to actually pull one of those
Oh
out.
dear.
Some
Oh.
2017 Great Lakes Dortmunder Gold. I tried them the other day. It's an they're not terrible, but I don't really want to waste a spot on the show with them.
okay.
Another thing that my Father B, he'd been waiting to share with me. Someone gifted him a Lakewood Temptress Bourbon Barrel Aged via 2018,
Oh.
which was a wonderful one that we shared. But he has another one now. When we were doing our Christmas shows, talking about all the gifting of beers, Beer Wonder, you had a lot of great stuff about that gift package from the NYCBG. Is that right, or is it
Yes, New York City Brewers
NYBG?
Guild.
Yes. And then you told me that you had sent some stuff to your dad,
Hmm.
but not that one because it doesn't deliver to Minneapolis. When you
Yes.
inspired me to send my dad a gift box of stuff from Warped Wing.
Oh.
And he still has one of them left, and well, actually, I think he might have two of them left. But he is graciously allowing me to have one of those to have myself on the show here. So I'm going to go get it. So I don't know if you guys want to start one of your other pours, if you want to sing the song or whatever you're going to do. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, you know where he's going.
Where's he going?
He's going to the father's. No, he's going to the father's cellar. Yeah. Come high water or hell, yeah. It's filled with stouts and porters, made with bricks and mortars. Going to the father's cellar, yeah. Oh yeah, father's cellar is where he's going.
How can I feel so alone?
Yeah. That was extended. That was a 12-inch
That was the extended
dance
Well,
number.
cut. That's the
it's
extended cut there.
I usually do this from my New York City apartment. Here in a house in Dayton, Ohio, it's a little bit of a longer walk to the refrigerator than it is when I'm there. So thank you for all being very patient. I look forward to hearing the extended cut of the Father's Cellar song. Um, so this one, and I hope this isn't hitting a sore nerve with you, Doctor, because I know that one of your hobbies is you're a candy maker. And so
Oh, I know what you got.
this is related to the behemoth or the local behemoth compared to you, I guess, down the street from you.
Yeah.
It is a Warped Wing beer, but it's a yearly collaboration they do with the chocolate makers Esther Price, and this is the 2020 Esther's Little Secret.
Oh, and look how cute it is in a tiny little can.
It is a double fudge cream stout, and
Ooh.
yeah, I'm not really sure what I know the ABV is on here somewhere, but I'm too eager to just pour this thing rather than to read this paragraph they have. So I'm just going to open it. Here we go. There we are. Oh, that was a yeah. This has been cellaring since what, December? Would you say?
December, sure.
Yeah. Father B's off screen out of here for a second. Here we go.
Nope.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, so a little bit more translucent than I would have expected for
Yeah.
something like this. Beautiful tan head, and actually big, like very intense head growth.
Here we go. Yeah, you're right. It's a very
Lovely.
nice head. Not something you might expect on a high ABV stout like this.
Mm-hmm.
As you,
All
I'm
right.
just repeating what you just said essentially. But
Yes.
all right, I'm gonna let this head settle while I know there are other. There's another queue lined up for more of these. I mean, for
Do we have
more.
another?
I know you guys. We'll do tasting notes in a second. I want to see what you guys have.
Okay. It's time for the Bulk's second beer.
So many
Oh,
songs.
my own theme. I'm so thrilled.
No, it's
So
improvised.
another. This is a first time brewery for me, and look, the can is it's so wee.
Yeah, it's
It's
like an
so
8 ounce
cute.
can, I believe.
Yeah, because the contents are, I think, very dangerous. So this is
Oh,
from Evil Twin NYC. I
I
Yeah.
know
have
them.
had Evil Twins before, but not the NYC. And I hope I am able to correctly read it. I think it is the Great Northern.
That's
It's a
correct.
very small, small font. A 12.5% barley wine aged in a red wine
Ooh.
barrel,
Ooh,
and adjunct of blackcurrant, cacao nib, and Marcona almond.
My
Ooh,
goodness.
So,
fun.
wow, what a cocktail that's going to be.
And Doctor,
And
I will
pop
tell you,
that.
this is like 16 or 17 of that series, so I'm going to look it up and find out which one it is. But yeah,
It
go ahead.
that might be what's written here. Oh no, 27 months is the aging time, not
Oh
member of the
my.
series. So
Oh my.
Oh, I mean, it's for such a small can. It has a very gentle crack to it.
indeed.
Delicate. You know, hold that up a little for us, Doctor.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Look at that. Beer wonder.
I know. Look at that thing. But almost no head at all on that bad boy.
Just coming
Now,
in
did
at
you
the
say this
end.
was the
Yeah,
one
I'm
with the
starting to
black?
wonder if I'm not cleaning my glasses well enough because neither of my pores have any
No,
head at
no,
all.
no. That's going to be the strength of these
No,
beers.
that's
Now,
definitely the strength
Doctor,
of the beer.
Yeah,
did you say this was the one with the black currant and the almonds?
it is.
That is
Oh,
series
nice.
17 of the Great Northern.
Wow.
Because there
Beautiful.
is another, which I'm probably not opening tonight because
That one is from
that's
series 16.
there's
Yeah.
plenty. Yeah.
I was going to say, you're going to do a melange. Pour them together.
Oh, pulling out
Is it
the big.
cuvee? Is that what?
A cuvee, yes, a cuvee. Well, I'm going from merry old England to, oh my God, this is so cold now with this fridge, to merry New England. This is the Devil's Purse.
Oh,
Handline Kolsch style ale from Dennis, Massachusetts, home of my parents on Cape Cod. Yeah, this is my go-to beer when I go down there. I also have the Evil
great
Twin
crack.
NYC glass. As close as I have to a Stanga,
Yep.
which I just learned. I thought it was Stanga, but Stanga is what
Yep.
it's called, the Kolsch glass. So let's take a look at this. Is gonna be cold. I know that. Wow, look at this. Great. Oh yeah, here we go. Just ruined the
Oh,
pour
very
by
nice.
getting too close.
Oh, see, but
That is
here's the
Yeah.
really
thing:
pretty.
a beautiful
Wow.
straight-sided glass gives you that really nice fluffy head on the top of it, and also
Yeah.
shows off that clarity, which is exactly what we need
You see
in
those
a
very
Kolsch style
tiny
Oh,
beer.
let me
bubbles?
get this picture while I'm.
Tiny, tiny fine carbonation. Really,
Mm-hmm.
really
There it
nice.
is. There it
It's
is.
going to be
Nothing
super
like a good
creamy.
Kolsch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is a good Kolsch. I've tried. This is their hit. You know, this is their big record. They sell this in 12-ounce cans. They sell it in 16-ounce cans, and they sell it throughout the state. Whereas
Hmm.
almost all of their other beers you can only really get at the brewery. But this Kolsch, and you pretty much can find it in almost every Cape Cod, at least mid Cape bar, has the Kolsch on tap. And so, yeah, it's a good one. Very refreshing, light.
Mm.
It's got that slight mouth feel of, almost like a honey, and it's got a nice grassy nose to it. It's just very. It's not only approachable and drinkable and quaffable and sessionable.
And what was the
It's
other word
tasty.
we had? Approachable.
Approachable.
Approach.
It's very approachable.
It's the kind of
And
beer you'd want to sit down and have a beer with.
you know, I've had a lot of good Kolsches lately. Didn't we have a Kolsch a couple weeks ago?
I think so. Yeah.
Where did I get that Kolsch? Oh boy, I'm
Don't
blanking.
remember. Yeah,
But I have
I
another one
remember.
in the fridge. A
You'll
West
remember
Coast
next week
Kolsch. Maybe
during
we'll bring that
Hot
out.
Cups.
And then again, you see, we have the the condensation because it's so cold.
Wow.
It's so cold in this fridge now. I love it.
It's interesting. This one I'm having it's an 8%er. I mistakenly thought I had this beer for lunch on draft. It's funny how that happens. But that was the barrel aged version. There's a place here in
Yeah.
town called Old Scratch Pizza that have these great customizable pizzas as well as like 15 craft beers on draft. And when I saw they had the Esther's Little Secret barrel aged, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm having that.
Naturally.
And
yeah.
and yeah, that was definitely very smooth, but a little bit boozier. And this is just this is just it very obviously very chocolatey, very and just goes down smoothly. It's fantastic.
Mm.
Every year's Esther's Little Secret is different.
Right.
Usually a different base beer style, but always a different chocolate influence. And my favorite is never coming back because no one else liked it. But they did a blonde porter with white chocolate,
Oh.
and
Mm.
I really like real white chocolate, which is not the thing that one might remember from the pink bunny in the Easter basket.
Or the Nestle
Uh,
Alpine White.
Not yet. It's not that is technically a real white chocolate, but that's not your marking post. No.
Right.
So yeah.
And
So
how's
this
that evil
Kolsch.
twin?
Oh yeah, I want to hear
Oh,
about that.
Yeah,
uh,
that one.
so immediate impression. I mean, Venus, right? It is the wine is just a coming through, but there is a hefty malt backbone
Hmm.
in the nose, and a lot of like stone fruit raisins. Probably that's the black currant too. Um, and the almond is really really interesting because I was wondering how would that even mix with everything else, and it's in the afters for me. So
Mm.
like almond essence. So it's an aromatic finish rather than like chewing an almond. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
somebody made Italian cookies, right? So
Oh, that's nice.
Are you tasting those? What is it? 28 months.
yes, there well, I'm not sure I've finally calibrated, but at least 20 months of funk is definitely in there. There is some I wouldn't call it there's oaky notes, there's wood notes,
Mm-hmm.
but the wine character is so far forward of that it is much more. It's hard to separate out like is it a highly oaked red wine or just the barrel itself because the between that and the fruit character it's all one uh, melange if I may
There you
Yeah,
go.
I mean
if
that is
I
how
may
I
expound with
found.
that.
That's how I found with that one too. Is like it's hard to say which is the wine and which is the blackberry currant.
Yeah,
Um,
and which is the barrel, which is
yeah.
the wood.
I was saying that
Yes.
about the Kolsch that it's made with Vanguard hops, which are an American varietal derived from a German Hallertau hops. So it has that German feel, but it's an American hop, and it's called handline Kolsch because that's a fishing reference, handline fishing.
Hmm.
And Devil's Purse itself is a little egg sac, if you ever saw that, uh, which is something you find on a lot of beaches. I forget which
Hmm.
animal. Now I have to look that up, or at least put it in next week's. Well, it'll be something for next week's hookups. What is a Devil's Purse?
One of my favorite things about every time you
It
go
sounds like
hang out
something
in
dirtier.
Cape Cod is that you always bring beers back from there.
I try. It's the Cape. Irish Red got into this when she was on that the Cape is not the best place to get the Massachusetts beers. Like it's kind of the last place to get the things.
They just
So
send them
I did
everywhere
go to.
else.
Yeah, I went to a local bottle shop, and I mean, almost everything was just old.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like kind of annoyed. Like they had these ancient beers. They had stuff like from Burlington Beer Company. They had foam. They had like some these are Vermont beers, Doctor, and they were just the dates. I was just really disappointed about the dates. And you can't have old hazy IPAs. It's just
No,
not a good idea.
no.
And even I think the lagers shouldn't be too old. They can be I think they can go maybe a month longer. But when they make these fresh lagers, they're meant to be, especially when they're delicate. They're delicate artisanal beers, and they're not supposed to sit in cans for 6 months.
They're aged before they come to you. They're at the peak. You gotta you
Pre-aged.
gotta catch it. Yeah,
Yeah. So in the can, they're aged in the wrong way. Now I think canned
yeah.
stouts can last a while.
Yeah,
We,
absolutely.
we've talked about this too, but
Bottled
even
ones
even
too.
that, bottled, of course, is the
Yeah.
preferable way to age your stouts for sure, rather than in the aluminum. And some of these cans are cheap too. They're cheaper quality or thinner, so a lot more oxygen can get into them. I'm not saying, I don't know which companies use better cans. That's a whole day for a topic. Anyway, yeah, like you said, hookups. Uh, we talked about Maria Stern, the town. Remember that?
Maria Stein. Was
Yes,
it Maria
sorry.
Stein?
Already getting a jump
We'll
on
put that
next
on the
week's. It is
hookups next
Stein.
week.
Yes.
Maria Stein. Yeah, there's not specific uh, definitive uh, proof of the derivation, but it's likely from Metzerlin Maria Stein in Switzerland, which was an abbey there. And there was a priest, Father Brunner, who established a missionary of the precious bloods in what was called St. John's, Ohio. and the two towns combined to make eventually to make Maria Stein, Ohio. And I think that was happened in 1812.
All right.
So there's that. Interesting. It must be an interesting place, and geographically too. It's right along the northern border of Ohio. Right? Is it along one of the lakes?
It's on the shores of Lake Erie. Yeah.
The shores of Lake Erie. Yeah. So really interesting geographically too. And now I want to visit there. Just to, they have a shrine of the holy relics. And I'm like, what are these relics? I want to go there. So I mentioned 1040, going back 2 weeks when we talked about Weinheim Stefan, right? The brewery that goes back to 1040. And I said, what kind of beer was being brewed in 1040 in North America?
And you have an
Right?
answer
Because
now.
it was only Native Americans that were
Right.
here. And yes, they were making a type of corn beer. The Pueblo Indians were making of Chaco Canyon, were brewing a weak beer made by fermenting kernels of corn. And yeah, so that's it was happening. There was a type of beer being brewed because corn is a grain, right?
Yeah.
Very
Or
good.
technically it's a grass, I guess. But so there you go. And there was one more thing. Switzerland. No, that's it. That's all. That's all I got.
Okay.
I already talked about the other stuff. So now we're on to the bulk ups.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Doctor, you had some things you wanted to clarify from last week as well.
We're gonna have a
And
whole
I thank you
show
for
just
this
about
opportunity.
corrections.
I was, I feel like, I really enjoyed describing my impressions of the changes in the Ohio beer law, but maybe some listeners might want to know, I don't know, actual facts and information. So I got some notes and some of it was a lot more fun than I thought. For example, I'm going to go through the whole history that I could find of drinking age law because Ohio's weird.
Right. And you
Everybody
and I
strap
were at a particularly pivotal moment as they were
exactly.
becoming legal.
And that's on the timeline. So,
Oh, cool.
hey, look out for it. It's coming up. In 1933, so immediately post Prohibition, Ohio's drinking age is just 16 or whatever.
Ooh.
Very unusual, very low, right, for the United States. In
So that was
1935, it
just
changes.
Okay.
Right? Sorry.
No, I mean,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So like
Go ahead,
just
doctor.
so
Yeah.
this is we're doing all post prohibition. That's the history we're doing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
got
Yeah.
it.
I didn't want to like
So I'm
take
just
up a whole
wanting
show and get
you
really.
hear things a second or two later when you're in your second beer.
Yes. Sometimes you say them 3 or 4 times. It's hard to
Yeah.
know.
So anyway, yeah. So 16 and 33, but it changed in 35.
To 18 for 3.2% ABW beer. So it's alcohol by weight in the law
Oh
at that
Right.
wow.
time.
Right.
And 21 for beer stronger than that, any wine or spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the 26th Amendment is adopted in 1971 nationally. And as part of the fallout in Ohio, nothing changes because apparently we're compatible enough.
This is so
Drinking
far all
age act of
prior to my arrival in Ohio. All of this so far.
yes.
It's interesting to
So
know what
we're now
happened.
at the Drinking Age Act of 1984, or actually all of the 80s, because 84 sort of falls in place here. In 1982, from August 19th to October 1st, everyone make notes, there will be a quiz. The age becomes 19
I
for
remember that very
3.2
well.
ABW beer and 21 for beer stronger than 3.2 ABW wine and liquor. So Cap and I are still not, in fact, 19
And
at
it's
this
so
point,
funny.
but
You mentioned this
the
last
threshold
week.
changed
I did not remember the 3.2 thing at all.
because from October 1st to the rest of 1982, it vanishes.
Oh, okay.
19 is all beer, 21 is wine and liquor.
Mm.
And in 1988, the drinking age shifts to 21 as part of the National Drinking Age Act. But those who had been legal prior to that law change remain legal to consume.
Right.
Ah.
So for beer only, so we're under the 1982 standards.
Did you
Sorry,
also
1982 post October 1.
Did you also turn 19 in 1987?
I did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So
So yeah,
we got in just under the wire, Doctor.
that's right. And so that is we're still talking now beer after the abandonment of the 3.2 standard. So October 1, 1982, beer is limited to 6%
Hmm.
until 2002, at which point beer can be up to 12%.
Hmm.
Which
So that's a
stayed that
strict
way
change in the
until
definition of beer.
2016. We discovered that, or we talked
That's
about
right.
this. Yeah.
May 31, 2016. Anyone care to name the governor who signed into law House Bill 37 that removed the limit completely? There is no legal limit on the amount of alcohol a beer can contain.
Or is that dude that like to eat the sandwiches a lot?
Yeah, yeah.
The
John
sandwich
Kasich.
guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Kasich.
Oh, we know him.
That makes
yeah.
sense.
He ran for president so he could eat sandwiches all over America.
That's right.
So that is not as significant to the development, which was part of the big question of the craft beer industry in Ohio, because I blathered on a lot about how it wasn't so much a legal change that made it possible, but it became more accepted, easier to do. Now, there's a big legal change that made it much easier to do, and very much indebted to George Shaw for this bit for helping me find it, and also a group called the Ohio Beer Council. That's COUNSEL. They are
Oh,
two lawyers whose hobby is helping breweries stay and
Council.
become legal.
good for
So
them.
semi-professional and semi-public advocacy, and
Okay.
they're actually based in Dayton. So in March of 2012, a very important legal change happened to make small brewing a lot more convenient and easy to get into. Um, the holders of a brewer's permit called A1 at that point were allowed to sell their beer in a tap room at the brewery without a separate license. Uh, and I believe the captain mentioned something about a similar provision in New York law for farm breweries. So the idea being that prior to that point, the license for the brewery was separate for the license of the bar, which was attached. They were both, let's see, the brewery license was almost $4,000 all by itself. The bar license was probably close on to that, and similar licensure, hours of operations and closing. So it was a very large financial barrier, not actually a prohibition, but if you were brewing, you couldn't sell right out without uh, also owning a bar until that change in 2012. Less than a year later, in July of 2013, they created a new brewer's permit, the A1C, for small brewers, defined as those producing less than 31 million gallons a year, and that permit fee is only $1,000.
Okay.
And there's currently some propositions before the Congress um, attempting to clarify who needs a kitchen on premise in order to maintain the A1A variant of that license, because apparently it's a little
Wow.
vague.
I'm going to
Hmm.
open a brewery in Ohio.
Welcome, please do. Granted, you'll have to deal with a bulk in the place all the time, but
Birch beer, we'll
people get
call it.
used to
Birch beer. Perfect.
it.
I don't know why you would call it that since we don't know your actual name, but
Actually, I think
Really,
I
really
would
devoted to
just
the
call it
roommate.
Brickin.
That's
that's
good.
actually that's that. Yeah. Ooh, did you make that name up?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
it
Just
just
popped
seems
into
like
your
it
head.
Putting
rolls off the
sounds
tongue.
together. Right.
Brickin'
Frickin'
Brews.
Brewing's got a ring to it.
Brickin' Brewing.
Well,
Definitely.
that connects a lot of those dots there. Thank you. Um, I
Very
guess
good.
we've been focusing so much on Ohio this week. I haven't even asked you guys how are things in New York.
What, yeah, Brew Wonder. Beer
Brew
Wonder.
Wonder. We tried
Talk
that
to
one
us.
once.
Well,
It
yeah,
worked
that
out
was the
okay.
name of an episode, so you're not that far off.
Talk to us, B Dubs. What's been going on?
Well, I will say I did happen to see our dear friend Nutpool this week,
Oh.
and you want to say it, Captain?
Let me say what you will about Nutpool.
Yeah.
I mean, because you saw him, so say what you're gonna say.
I did. I
Say what you
did.
will. Yeah.
Yeah. He did inquire about the whole crew because he and Wheat Lightning were moving secret locations, and so I assisted them
Yes.
in their movement. And
Excellent.
I am pleased to say that he did provide appropriate beer venger style sustenance
Great.
for us.
Excellent.
And while he did show up with more Coors Light than I wish to admit a beer venger would have in their possession, he also did have a lovely selection of rogue beers for us to enjoy,
Oh
including
wow.
a delightful honey kolsch that was quite exciting.
Okay.
So, say what
Speaking
you
of
will about
Kolsch,
Nutpool.
Say what
Yes,
you
say what you will
will.
about Netpool.
And Coors Light is the number 2 beer in the country.
And sounds like it was the number 2 best beer there that day too. A distant
Very
second.
nice.
Uh,
Very
Yes, a
nice.
distant second, but I was quite pleased. I was quite pleased that he was able to retain Beer Vengerdom with some very nice beers.
Well, very cool.
alongside.
Rogue Honey Kolsch.
I
Yep.
finally got around to listening to Nutfool, or is it
Yes.
Nutpool 2? Nutfool? Yes. And I have to say, I loved it. It was a terrific episode,
Oh,
but my enjoyment would have been halved without the intervention of Wheat Lightning and Cider Girl. That was
yes.
just really, just totally landed it. I was laughing aloud.
What you missed with that, we had a Cider Girl came in with a whole costume, and I had gone to get
And
my
he
beer.
muted
When I
the
go to
mic.
get my beer, I mute my Zencaster. So she gets
Oh.
on. I think we gave her the headphones, right?
Yeah.
She
Mhm.
gets on and she's talking, and these guys are all going. They can't hear her. It was like a 5-minute segment. We just kind of
It
had to
felt that
just
way
kind of
anyway.
cut
Yeah.
it out. But we got it in the photos, though. We did get a
We
photo.
did. We
So
did.
it was worth
And she
it for
came back
that.
and
I
talked
mean,
later, and it was very
she
nice
did come
having
back
her.
later, yeah. But I felt so stupid.
That was a unique episode.
That was a true hookup.
It was epic, though. I mean, you never know what happens
Yeah,
when
that was a
Nutpool is
fun
going
one.
to show up,
Thank you
especially
for
when
saying so, Doctor.
other friends decide to make it in. But Bruce Beer Nerd, I think you may have continued to overtake our dear Nutpool in your appearances on the show.
Yes.
And-
by
Hey, it's
lead-
not a competition,
And you're
it's
not even
just
in
who's
Gotham,
around.
so I'm just
right.
saying.
Right.
We're all
And-
beer
and-
ventures together.
but by saying it's not a competition, you leap even further ahead of him, because anyone who is cool about have me on whenever I'm fine. That instantly it's its own thing.
It's our cunning plan all along.
Yes, exactly. We're all conspiring against him.
I'll be humble and pleasant, and then people will like me.
Well,
Yes.
I hope you guys
That's
think
always
this was
been
still a
my
good
trend.
idea having a 2-part show that we had. Did we have enough material to fill 2 shows? I
Yeah,
guess
we sure did.
You never know.
Yeah.
Well, we've never had a problem before.
That's true.
No.
So I don't know if you guys have any other business you want to bring up.
I just wish we heard more from the Beer Wonder this week. Maybe we could do a special Beer Wonder show next time.
Maybe that'll be the
Well,
next
we
one.
had a slow week in Beer Wonderland. We
Oh,
we
look
had to
who's
help.
look
All right,
who's
yeah,
making
wave Father
appearance.
B. Did you have
oh
something
my
you
God,
wanted
Father
to
B
say?
is here.
Not me.
Okay,
Very well, Avengers.
there we go.
Thank you,
I
Father.
did. If you guys don't have anything else you want to mention, I did want to mention that I am going to be recording an episode of Acquired Tastings later this week.
Yep. Very exciting.
A little bit of a spin off, the way they spun off from there to us, and we're spinning back to them. And I will announce on that show what Josh Mill's official Beer Venger name is. He will be formally anointed.
Yes. Very
Excellent,
important.
and we'll look forward to hearing that. And
if you don't
do
know
you
what
have
we're
any idea-
talking, if you don't know what we're talking about, go back to and listen to Acquired Beer Vengers. We are proudly standalone, but there's lots of extras if you listen every week. And our full archive is still available at everywhere you find podcasts. But all the fancy pictures and everything, you can stream it directly from thebeervengers.com. You can go to iTunes, Spotify, however you find that stuff. If there's somewhere you're looking for, we're not there, let us know. We'll get there. And you can also email us at thebeervengers@gmail.com. Find us on all the socials. That is Instagram, that is Facebook, that is Twitter, at the Beer Vengers. Or the at the at symbol, the Beer Vengers, and we're at all of those. Did I leave
we're
anything
doing
out,
great
Beer
with
Wonder?
that.
I want to make sure I'm still polite.
No, you have done all the social media work. You killed it.
All right, so the student has become the better student.
The student is the
This is a
student
better
has
A+
matriculated.
student. There we go.
Very good. All right. Thanks so much. I mean, I know this almost goes without saying since you've been back for here 2 in a row, but Doctor, Bruce, Beer Nerd, Incredible, Bulk, or Incredulous. I see I screwed it all up there. But anyway, come back anytime.
Come back
It's
anytime.
been wonderful having you here.
I look forward, as always. Thank you.
Bruce.
All right. Play us out, if you would.
Well, we're the beer Vengers, beer Vengers, beer Vengers. We're the beer Vengers.
We're the Beer Avengers, yeah?